What's the strangest thing you've seen someone try to bring through airport security while in uniform? I was flying home from my second deployment when I witnessed the most awkward TSA encounter of my military career. I'm waiting in the security line at Baltimore Airport, still in my ACUs, when this Marine corporal named Jake gets pulled aside for additional screening. Nothing unusual there. Happens to military folks all the time with all our gear. But then, the TSA agent opens his carry-on and freezes. Calls over his supervisor immediately. Then another supervisor. Soon there's 5 TSA agents huddled around this bag like they're defusing a bomb. What's the problem? Jake asks, clearly confused. The lead agent reaches into the bag and slowly pulls out what looks like a human skull. Not a fake one. A real yellowed, weathered human skull. The entire security checkpoint goes silent. Other passengers start backing away. I'm thinking this guy's about to get arrested for smuggling human remains or something way worse. Sir, the agent says, voice shaking slightly. Can you explain why you have a human skull in your luggage? Jake's face turns bright red. Oh man, I forgot that was in there. Forgot? The agent looks like he's about to call the FBI. How do you forget about a human skull? That's when Jake starts explaining and it gets even weirder. Turns out Jake had been stationed at a remote outpost in Afghanistan. They'd been using an abandoned building as their headquarters when they discovered this skull buried under some old equipment in the basement. Local village elder told them it belonged to a Soviet soldier from the 1980s. Guy had been missing for decades. His unit never found the body. The elder asked if they could help return it to Russia for proper burial. Jake spent months going through official channels. Red Cross, State Department, Russian Embassy. Nobody wanted to deal with the paperwork. Too complicated, too much bureaucracy. So Jake decided to handle it himself. Figured he'd take it back to the States, contact the Russian consulate directly, make sure this soldier got home to his family after 30 years. The TSA supervisor looks skeptical. Sir, this is highly irregular. We can't just let people transport human remains without proper documentation. Jake pulls out a folder thicker than a phone book. Death certificate from Afghan authorities, letter from the village elder, documentation from the Russian embassy, medical examiner's report, chain of custody forms. This guy had more paperwork than a Pentagon contractor. But here's where it gets complicated. The TSA agent discovers one crucial problem. All the paperwork lists the skull as being shipped via military freight, not carried on a commercial passenger flight. Somewhere along the way, Jake's gear got mixed up. The skull was supposed to go through official military transport channels. Instead, it ended up in his personal luggage. Now we've got a Marine corporal, a 30-year-old Soviet soldier's remains, 5 confused TSA agents, and a growing crowd of passengers wondering why airport security is having a philosophical discussion about Cold War casualties. The supervisor makes a decision. Sir, I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but we can't allow this through civilian security. You'll need to contact military transport and ship this properly. Jake looks devastated. I promised that village elder I'd make sure Ivan made it home. I can't just abandon him in an airport security office. That's when something unexpected happens. The supervisor, an older guy with military bearing, leans in closer. What unit were you with over there? Jake tells him. 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines. The supervisor nods. My son's with 1st Battalion, 6th Marines. Did 2 tours myself back in the day. He thinks for a moment, then pulls out his phone. I'm calling my contact at Dover Air Force Base. They handle dignified transfer operations. We'll make sure your Russian soldier gets home the right way. 3 hours later, Jake's on his flight home. The skull is in official military custody being processed through proper channels with full honors. 2 months after that, Jake gets a letter from the Russian consulate. Ivan Petrov, age 19, Soviet Army, was finally returned to his family in Volgograd. Full military burial with honors. Jake framed that letter, hangs in his apartment next to his deployment photos. Sometimes the strangest things you carry home aren't souvenirs. They're promises you made to people who trusted you to do the right thing.